This is the most fun I've had riding in the last 10 years. Stupidest of ideas. In the I'm on fire video, I just kind of did a semi-reveal just to have a little fun with this bike. What this bike is a Kawasaki ZX4RR. It's a limited production bike that's kind of a rare bike that came to North America. It is 399 cc's. It is an inline 4-cylinder bike. Right out of the box, it has about 50 to 53 horsepower. It's kind of neutered on that, and we'll talk about that in just a second. It has flagship options on a small bore bike, like ram air injection. It has a ZX10 rear shock. It has preload shocks on the front. It also has an auto shift as well as an auto blipper or auto downshift. And we'll talk about that more in another video later on, what that's all about. But those are very rare items to find on any bike, let alone a 400cc bike. This bike is designed for the Asian market, and they actually make a different variation of it as well. The ZX4RR, which is, believe it or not, a 250cc inline 4-cylinder bike. I don't fit the demographics for this bike. I mean, I'm 6'4" and over 200 pounds. And I'm also 61 years old. And no, they didn't offer an AARP discount when I went to purchase it. It has oodles of character. When you go to start it up, it sounds, the starter sound has a chirping sound to it that sounds like a pterodactyl in heat during mating season. Believe it or not, the motor revs out to 16,000 RPM. Horsepower kind of drops off the end of the charts at around 11,500 RPM. Once you get above 84 decibels, you exceed the EPA noise level that a motor vehicle is allowed to make at this present time. When you get up to 16,000 RPM, which this bike is capable of, it exceeds those decibels. So what Kawasaki did was kind of neuter the horsepower of the bike. So at 11,500, the horsepower just falls off the charts. And it's capable of much more. That's a really easy fix. You can remove the ECU, send it out, have it reflash, and you can get the bike in the neighborhood of 70 to 75 horsepower. That's an incredible gain for the amount of money invested in horsepower. That goes from 55 to 75. That's, you know, a whopping 20, 25 more horsepower depending on the tune. So Kawasaki is making a statement here. Why have a small bore bike, an inline 4 with flagship options on it, like the ram air and the quick shift and the quick downshift, ZX10 rear shocks, etc., on a small bore bike? Is a small bore bike shopper going to spend $10,000 on a bike like this with all this tech on it when you're dangerously close to buying something like a ZX6 that will blow this bike's doors off? Why did I buy it? Do small bore bike enthusiasts have the money to buy such a bike? Ergonomically, it's surprisingly not cramped. What the ZX4 reminds me of is the Aprilia 660. It's basically a lower cc bike that's hitting way above its weight class. And that, my friends, equals fun. In a market of motorcycles where the parallel twin is flooding the market, it is so refreshing to see a throwback to the 90s of what Kawasaki is doing here and making this statement. It'll be interesting to see if the other big 4 Japanese manufacturers will follow suit and come out with a small bore 4 as well. Nothing, I mean nothing, beats us an inline 4 for smoothness. That sound of the small bore 4, if that doesn't get your heart palpitating, nothing will. And if that isn't worth $10,000 to you, then I don't know what is. The ZX4RR is better, slower. The whole point of this bike is being able to use 16,000 RPM and still enjoy everything this bike has to offer. It's still more power than you need to ride legally on the road. The whole point of the ZX4RR is to rev the bike up to the moon and back at 16,000 RPM. It is just a joy words cannot describe and you need to experience. It's what I call a fulcrum shift. The combination of all the parts gathered doesn't make sense on paper, but when you put it all together and you actually ride it, it exceeds your expectations. It must be slow enough and geared low enough to reach 16,000 RPM and still be semi-sane legal speeds. That it does very nicely, and to me, it's perfect just the way it is. I'm Eric and you're watching Kraken's Garage.